Alright fellas, Thorzak's here, and I'm taking a little bit of sabbatical. This is kind of like in between here, so you know, you can only stay on one project for so long until you get a little burned out on it, and then you want to move on to something else, or think about what the next thing you're going to do. Okay, so where was I going with this? Oh, okay. With the M1, what I did was I took my Stony Point, you know, bullet comparator, overall, you know, bullet length to the lands, and I stuck it down in the chamber of my M1. Now, the chamber reamer that I have for that rifle, that I wouldn't, you know, ream the chamber, that chamber reamer is a standard 30-06, you know, length, okay? Now, the thing is, though, is that the throat on that, and on those standard reamers like that, they are a overall universal amount that the industry standard is, okay? And so, using a chamber reamer like that, you're giving up a little bit of potential for the accuracy of the rifle, if that makes any sense, because, you know, legally, when they make chambers for rifles, when they go ahead and, you know, ream the chambers, they leave quite a bit of jump in there to lower those initial pressures, so that the action doesn't blow up on you. And, you know, has that ever happened in the past? Well, maybe. I mean, it you know, because of a manufacturing thing, and so they want to avoid that. So I believe that, you know, like Sammy, you know, the institute there, they come up with that drawing on, you know, how to make the reamer, but also they're adding that 10 or 20 or 50% there that is all about the safety of being able to use that chamber. Now, or chamber reamer. So anyway, to move on, okay, I went out to the range the other day and I fired at 200 yards. I went down range and I looked, and it was with the nozzlers. And for some reason, the nozzlers, they'll group at 100 yards. They group at about, you know, 1.5 inches, and that's consistent with what I'm getting out at 200 yards, because it's twice as much. Within about a 3-inch circle there, that's where they're grouping. Okay, they're grouping in there. Now, here's another thing too. I've got 55-year-old, you know, well, actually almost 56, but 55-year-old eyes, and I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to sight in on that, and also I'm getting back to the used to you know, shooting the rifle, and there's a number of different factors there for the accuracy. But I will say this much, is that the gun will group in the black. Okay, so we're getting shots in the black. We're getting about a 3-inch coverage on our groupings, which is great. That's what the rifle should do. So I'm happy with that. And that's with using the standard overall length that's recommended by Hornady and also Lee and Lyman, and, you know, you look it up, it's all the same. So, and that length clears the magazine well, so you can, you know, you can press the rounds down in. Now, what I did with the comparator, okay, I took a nozzler bullet and stuck it down there on the end. Now, you got about that much of grip where the ogive meets the lands, okay? And what you want to do is I backed it down about 20 thousandths. I set it about 20 thousandths further in than this. So therefore there's 20 thousandths before it actually starts to engage the lands and grooves. And so what I want to do is I want to try that and see if that improves the accuracy in my rifle. It should. If not, well, then we're looking at a barrel thing, that maybe we're at the extent of the quality of that barrel. Okay. So with the way that barrel's set up too. I mean, there's different ways to, set the barrel in there in the action. You can actually glass bed the forward handguard onto the rifle, and it works like a de-resonator. And people claim that gives better accuracy. I don't know. I don't know. I have a spare handguard, so maybe that was an avenue maybe I might explore later. Is to sand that down, make it look as military as possible. Go ahead and put a finish on it, and then acro glass that to that barrel, and see if that improves the accuracy, working like a de-resonator. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the area where I've been going. And also another thing too, I've been comparing the ogives from the nozzlers to the spears. And I wanted to let you guys know the spear bullet has a longer nose to it. Okay, and the ogive is set further back than on the nozzlers. Okay, so you have more room there that you have to push the bullet out further to get it to engage in the where the lands and grooves are, and set up your 10 thousandths, 20 thousandths, 15 thousandths away from the lands and grooves. With a spear, you can't do that because the spears are too short to have any wiggle room there. And I went out the other day and I had pretty good luck with the spears, but like I said, I went out there at the same time, and this was all shooting that I did not film and I didn't post. But I found that the spears were lacking in accuracy compared to the nozzlers. Okay, I refired them and compared the two, and I found that the spears were not as accurate as the nozzlers. So, and the reason being, I believe, is because of the bullet jump into the lands and grooves. And you can't set that any further out. Well, you can if you have to single load them, but the thing is, though, is that if you set them up like that, they won't go into the magazine well. I mean, you got to have that whole, got to be able to load the rifle with the M-1. So, anyway, that's kind of what I've been tossing around here, and Madman Reloader here. See if I can squeeze some more accuracy out of that M1. But here's another deal that I got on the side burner. Okay, this one here is, on the back burner. I've been kind of mauling it around a little bit. And I have a 303. I have an old 303. It's a 1950s vintage Korean War period manufacturer, number 4 Mark II. And it's an FP, which is made in England. It's English made. It's actually a nice rifle. It has a curly maple stock, which doesn't really look all that great. It's kind of an ugly gun. But the last time I fired it with, I believe it was with a 180 grain soft tip spear 303 bullets, and those, I mean, the accuracy was really good. So anyway, what I did on my last order, I went ahead and I bought some of these. These are 303, 150 grain, full metal jacket. These are 150 grain. I don't know what kind of accuracy I'm going to get with 150 grain out of that rifle, but I'm going to try. And I've also been loading that with Winchester primers and 4320, excuse me. 40 grains of 4320 with 150 grain bullets. And these are the rounds right here that I've loaded so far for it. I've put them on military stripper clips. And there's a special way that you have to stack these. So when you set them in the gun, you press down on the top round, they load and they don't rim lock on each other. So, You guys want to take a look at that. Anyway, the two second most inward ones are the ones that have to ride on top of the rims on the ones on the outside and on the middle. So these ones here, the outside ones and the middle one sit flat against this, and then these two right here, they sit on top of the rims of these three. So that's where you get that. Okay, and that's the proper way to load a stripper clip for a 303 Brit. So throw that out there. So I went and loaded 30 rounds. Got 30 rounds of that. I wanted to show you another thing too. A while back, 243 Outdoors went and sent me this in the mail. I get this box in the mail, and I open it up, and I'm thinking, what's up with this? Anyway, so I opened it up, and sure enough, it was from 243 Outdoors, and he said I had this sitting around, and wondered if you can use it. And he had 30 rounds in there, 30 rounds of brass. And I'm going to tell you what, that's the one thing about the 303 Brit, it's hard on brass. I mean, you get about 3 or 4 firings out of these, and you usually start getting case separation, cracks down here on the bottom because of the tapered, shape, and also it headspaces on the rim. It doesn't headspace on the shoulder, and so it grows in length. But anyway, he went ahead and sent me this, and I thought, wow, cool. I'm gonna have to load those up, but that was almost a year ago. So these have been sitting around a while. This box was sitting around a while, and I wanted to go ahead and get these loaded. Yeah, he sent me a nice little letter and said he enjoyed my show and wondered if I could use these. I said, yeah, man. Yeah, thanks. I bought some brand new, I believe it's Winchester 303 Brit, and I didn't want to break into that yet until I go through some sort of load development. Also, there's another thing too. I want to try some cast bullets with reduced loads in the 303 Brit. If you guys are YouTubers, and if you ever heard of British muzzleloaders, that guy up there, all of his rounds that he shoots in his show primarily are cast bullets that he makes, and he gets pretty good accuracy, with his cast bullets. I don't see any reason to go out there and buy jacketed ones. I'm going to tell you what, jacketed bullets for 303 used to be pretty reasonable, but not anymore. I mean, I got some Sierras here. These are old school. How much were these? Oh, these were bought at Warshall's. $14.75 for 100. I got some Hornadies. These are 174 grain full metal jacket. These are pricey, as far as I'm concerned. These are. I mean, bullets have really shot up in price. I also have these, which are 180 grain round tip for 303, soft tip, round nose, and yeah. But when the last time I fired, I think I fired some made up with these, and I was really impressed with these, with the accuracy I got from these Sierras. They really shot good in the old 303. Let me show you the gun. Like I said, she's not much to look at, but she's got her, she's got it where it counts. And there you go. Full military, like I said, curly maple stock. Still has the cartouche, FP on the stock. It was imported. It's got the importer stamp, but it also has the manufacturer stamp. And I bought this. Boy, man, that's going back. I think I bought this back in the late 80s. I paid like $70 for it in a pawn shop. But man, I'll tell you what, these actions, they are butter smooth. Excellent. I mean, all the little cuts and stuff that they do on these receivers, I mean, just, you know, national pride, I guess. I don't know, but man, I'll tell you, you know, they really did a lot to these guns, these old guns. This also has the, you know, pop-up rear sight, okay, for accuracy, and then you also have your battle sight, you know, for, you know, out to 50 to 100 yards. You use this one, and then any long, you know, any long shots you want to make, you can do with this. So, yeah, and you know, I don't know what it graduates to. I'd have to take a look here. Let me see if I can see here. I don't have enough light in the room. Anyway, it goes out to some ridiculous amount of yardage, like 22 or 2,500 yards or something like that. And there's something that I wanted to kind of clarify on that. You know, back in the day, these sights were made for volley fire, if you know what that is. Volley fire is when the forward observers said, hey, the enemy is like, you know, 2,200 yards that way. And what they would do is they would go ahead and take their rifles, they would run their sights all the way up, you know, to 2,200 or however many yards that the observers said that they were away. And they would all load and they would all fire their guns. And what they would do is they would arc, you know, arc those rounds into that area where they were at. And that was the whole purpose of, you know, running the sight up like that. So, you know, volley fire. And it was effective. I mean, you know, there was accounts of the Germans, you know, sitting down to chow, and they're sitting there chowing down, and the next thing you know, they just had a rain of bullets coming down on top of them, and it was the British. The British were still, you know, practicing volley fire in World War II. So, yeah, it's effective. So, anyway, so that's what I've been up to. I'll get this old girl out, you know. That brass butt plate. I mean, you know, pretty heavy duty rifle. She's ugly, but she shoots good. And the rifling is really good in it too. It hasn't been shot that much. It's just what you're seeing is wear and tear on this. I mean, that's just from handling and sitting around and being in storage and that sort of thing. So anyway, so that's what I got going on. This is Thorzak's, and I'll go ahead and upload this and get it going. And that's about it. So I'll see you. Probably my next video is going to be the M1. We'll go out and we'll fire some of these rounds with the nozzlers that I've adjusted, and for the lands and grooves, see if we can squeeze a little more accuracy out of that. I did. One thing I did do is I made sure that the end block clips will go down inside the gun though at the amount that I set the bullet at. I think I'm at the max, and the most jump I'm getting is like 15 to 20 thousandths into the lands and grooves. So we'll see. Anyway, it's Thorzak's. We'll catch you guys later.